Okay, so we spent the last couple of days talking about inequalities. Yesterday we were writing inequalities from story problems, and we were solving those inequalities out to get a solution. And then we were talking about that solution. Today we're going to be doing more of the same, and then we're going to be adding in what we already looked at here this morning as a warm-up, and that is graphing those solutions, which is pretty easy. Number one. Two identical cars need to fit into a small garage. We have two exactly the same cars. The opening to the garage is 23 feet 6 inches. And there must be at least, there's your key inequality phrase, at least 3 feet 6 inches of clearance between the cars and between the edges of the garage. How wide can the cars be? There's our question. Let's quickly draw the garage just so we can get a visual. And I'm just going to make rectangular cars. There's car 1. There's car 2. Now they said there needs to be 3.5 feet, 3 feet 6 inches here, here, and here. And so how wide can the cars be? So the visual will really help on this one. Here's the length of our garage. And we know that that's 23 feet 6 inches, or 23.5 feet. We know that this space right here is 3.5 feet. We don't know the width of the car. We know that this space is 3.5 feet. We don't know the width of the second car. And we know that this is 3.5 feet. So what we have is 3.5 feet 3 times. That's 10.5 feet. We also have two x's, two unknown widths. So that would be 2x. So we know that 2x plus this 10.5 needs to be less than or equal to the width of the garage at 23.5 feet. Now we have a setup inequality that you guys should be able to solve. So if you want to pause the video and try that, go ahead. And here we go. We would take away 10.5 from both sides. That would leave us with 2x is less than or equal to 13. If we divide by 2, we're going to get x is less than or equal to 6.5. So in our diagram, we could replace the x's with 6.5. We know that at the most, those cars could be 6.5 feet wide. Or 6 feet 6 inches. Let's look at the next one. A local car dealership is trying to sell all the cars that are on its lot. Currently, there are 525 cars on the lot, and the general manager estimates that they will consistently sell 50 cars per week. Estimate how many weeks it will take for the number of cars on the lot to be less than 75. It says write an inequality that can be used to find the number of full weeks, W, so we're going to use W as weeks, it will take for the number of cars to be less than 75. Since W is the number of full or complete weeks, W equals 1 means the end of the first week. So a lot of words there, but this is very much like the problems we did yesterday. Here's what we know. They're going to sell 50 cars per week. They had 525 cars to begin with, so 525 is actually going to go here, and then we are going to take away 50 cars per week, and we want that to be eventually less than 75 cars total. There's our inequality. Directions here say solve and graph the inequality. So here's where we were struggling a little bit. We have to get rid of this number first. That one's the constant. The 50 is called a coefficient because it has the variable with it. So we need to get rid of 525 first by subtracting 525. They'll cancel, and we are left with negative 50W is less than, and then over here we have 75 and we're taking away 525. That's going to leave us with negative 450, which is strange, but it's going to be okay when you see the next step. Next step is to divide by negative 50. Now remember yesterday, when you divide by a negative, you flip this inequality symbol. And so we're going to get W is greater than, and then we'll do negative 450 divided by negative 50. So since we're dividing two negatives, we're going to get a positive answer of 9. So W is greater than 9 is our solution. They want us to graph that. So let's set up a number line. And with this number line, it doesn't really matter. You just, where you start, you just need to have 9 on it somewhere. So I'm going to put 9 right in the middle. 10, 11, let's go 12 here. This would be 8, 7, and 6. So like we talked about in the warm-up, if you have an open point on your number line, that is for greater than or less than. If you have a filled in point on your number line, that is for greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So on this one, we're going to be using this guy, an open point. So we're going to put an open point right on 9. And if we look at our solution, it says W has to be greater than 9. So we're going to draw our arrow this direction. If you have a pencil, you got to kind of fill it in dark so you can see it. Excuse me. And so what this graph says is that the number of weeks they're going to need is anything more than 9. So it can't be 9. 9 is not filled in, but it could be 10, 11, 12, and so on. So what I just said is the interpretation to the solution. The dealer would need more than 9 weeks. To get that lot down to 75 cars or less. Verify the solution. They want us to do what we did yesterday when we checked. So we would pick a number greater than 9 and plug it into the original inequality. So 525 minus 50 times W, a number bigger than 9. Let's go 10. Needs to be less than 75. 525 minus 50 times 10, that's 500. 525 minus 500 is 25. And since 25 is less than 75, we know that we're correct. Number 2, you are going to complete. I'm going to help you set up the inequality here, and then the video will be over. And I want you guys to finish exercise 2 and then complete these additional exercises 3, 4, and 5. Those are going to be your homework questions. So let's set up number 2, and then you guys are going to be off and rolling on your homework. The cost of renting a car is $25 per day plus a one-time fee of $75.50 for insurance. How many days can the car be rented if the total cost, how many days can it be rented if the total cost is to be no more than 525? So we know that we're going to pay $25 per day plus $75.50 for insurance. That's our total cost for the car, and that has to be no more than. So in other words, it needs to be less than or equal to $525. There is your inequality. Make sure you complete and solve it. And then you do part B and C. Finish the rest of these questions as your homework, but I want you to start them right now and ask questions. Okay?